DeLorean.
So this is Belgium Bar Park, place I love to go and write. I sit into these benches. Usually these trees have a little more coverage so the sun isn't blaring off of you, but the Willamette River, literally right through those trees, the Willamette River's right there. So we're maybe like, the ground right here is, 10 to 15, maybe 20 feet above sea level. And there's a bit of a landmark here in the park. But yeah, if you look, see the ground level, there's a sign up here, high water mark, 218, February 8th, 1996, 11 feet 5 inches. So literally, if I was in this park early February 1996, I would be drowning right now. I would literally be bobbing. My feet would be like right here as I'm bobbing up at the water. Like, it's insane. So if I was in the restroom, which by the way, this is a disgusting restroom for a public, such a nice park, and there's no door for the actual toilet. I literally had a kid run in here once while I was using that, and he came around the corner and saw me. I was like, oh, I was like, can't be having things like that happen. But yeah, with where that watermark was at, like literally, I would just be bobbing in this corner because I would be up at the roof bobbing in water, trying to probably kick these little windows out to get to safety. I'd be just sitting on the roof like I was sitting out on a rock in the middle of the ocean. Insane. So you think almost 12 feet of water. You look off kind of in the distance this way, you see these hills, this or hillside over here, and you think like the water was almost up to those hills. This probably would have all just looked like a huge lake, with this being the shoreline, kind of just a huge lake. All of this space over 10 feet underwater in a matter of like 2 days, like just insane. So we're just a short distance from the main park area I was just at, and you can see here's the Willamette River right here, and you can see it's a little ways down from where I'm at. And of course it's going to be spring, it's getting warmer, there's fewer vehicles out here, but look at how high that water had to get just to get up to the level of the rest of the park, which is pretty much where I'm at, and then go 12 feet higher up here. It's gotta be something. Oh, it's just a total fall. Good thing I didn't keep going forward, but yeah, here's the river. There used to be land right here that I had an actress in a film I did stand on. This was all part of this. And now this is just like a scenic viewpoint. That is crazy. I remember because I was going to redo the film and I wanted to film here, and I realized there's nothing left. Like, there must have been a big landslide in the past couple of years that took all that land away. So anybody who was maybe, I mean, granted this was 20 years ago, but anybody who was maybe tracking or following the news of the flood, because Portland is Portland, it's by far the largest city in the state of Oregon, a lot of the focus was put on Portland in terms of where the flood really hit. So if you weren't like from the Portland area, you would have maybe been led to believe that it was just Portland. like that area that got flooded, but really the worst of it was out in the gorge with a lot of landslides. A little bit in the West Hills of the Portland area, but as far as the Portland area, not just the city of Portland, places that got hit really the hardest in many respects were places more down in Clackamas County, just south of Portland, that were along the Willamette River, right over here, like Gladstone, where I am now, Westland, right across the river, Oregon City, at least the old downtown area, got it the worst because that place is considerably lower. A lot of Oregon City is up the hill, but the kind of old downtown area is pretty much about the same level I'm at, and if you can see the river, it's right down there. So Oregon City really got it bad. Now we're getting right down to the river, and you can see Willamette River continues going off that way, and then over here you can see the mouth of the Clackamas River right there starting to hook off that way. And right down on the shoreline we find another small homeless camp. You know, it's and some ducks taking advantage of, you know, someone like covered this up and stayed in there. I don't know why, because the water's right there. Hey, we got some friends there. Hey guys. Oh man, they are ready to book. It's all right, fellas. All right, well you're just trying to cuddle together, so I'll leave you be. Down by the river, here's the Willamette flowing left and right, and then here's the Clackamas branching off a bit, going down this way, and it's still winter. Usually this would be more like the beach isn't really here yet. I think if you look down in this, yeah, you can see this goes a lot further down into the ground, and this is more the beach like here, but since it's still, you know, early spring, a lot of this place is still underwater. I mean, it's been a pretty dry winter. Look at how high the water is. I mean, it was like, you know, up to about that point of that tree right there during the flood. And even though it's a nice day, it really hasn't been for the past 2 months. It's been very cold. Even when it's not raining, it's just cold. Nobody wants to go outside. It is nice today, but I mean, you have to enter through the park way down there, wrap all the way down here, and even know that there's a trail here before coming down here. So I'm getting the general feeling that I'm probably going to be out here alone. Yeah, I'm definitely down here alone. Does this go up under the bridge? Going up under the bridge. Having a Frank Reynolds moment. I'm just hanging out with Duncan under the bridge. This is very interesting because a lot of people don't go this far. And there's another homeless camp. Yeah, so people's hanging out up here. But yeah, I love like the gates, like the gating that's here. Just driving under this thing. But this is very sketchy with this homeless camp that doesn't necessarily look like it's been abandoned. You never know. People will just up and leave for whatever reason. You've got the old, this old river museum that's been closed up, and then there's this boat next to it. I've visited that once or twice. Yeah, when I was here filming, which again, this was like September, this land here where the water is between me and the column, this was all not just above water, but it was way above water. Somebody's clothing item. Yeah, this is crazy how high the water is right now. So I walked through here doing a podcast about a week ago, and this island was completely underwater. It is amazing what this nice weather has done. So we are having an anti-flood situation. Like, see this shoreline here? This shoreline was gone. The water was up to the base of those bushes. So you can see this is all kind of lowland. Clackamas Park's back this way. And this is all fairly lowland. My dad has pictures of this McDonald's over here when it's almost completely submerged underwater. And if you look, you know, it's like pretty low ground over here, but the McDonald's is actually somewhat elevated. There's an American flagpole right there above it. And there's picture and video taken of the water almost touching the tip of the American flag. So I'm guessing it was probably a lower pole, because that would mean the McDonald's was entirely submerged. But yeah, this was all literally water pretty much up to the ground that I'm like now standing on, like these cobblestones, which weren't here back in 1996. But when you see the river off that way and you think that water was all the way up to this road right here, in the matter of like a day or two, like that is just insane. And downtown Oregon City, or old downtown Oregon City, which is directly this way, was just so much property damage. There were so many struggling businesses down there, lots of old buildings that needed a lot more work after the flood blew through here. It messed up a lot of stuff in this area, and it took a really long time for it to get cleaned up and for things to get back on a more even keel the way it was before. Yeah, man, if it was February 1996 right now, I'd be like sloshing through water right now. This is pretty cool. So right next to the McDonald's here that I was just talking about, this is all underwater. Here's like a little like plaque, if you will, showing flooding. Clackamas River Bridge, Oregon City Shopping Center. Yeah, so this is old. This is the bridge that's back that way. So this is pretty much all Gladstone here, just underwater. And this was 1964, the big flood we had then. Talks about several floods. References 1996 Willamette Valley flood. That's the big one that we're talking about. Even though clearly there have been many other floods, but not quite as documented. So that was nice and cool and convenient for what I'm doing. You get out, you know, south of Oregon City, southeast of Oregon City, and there was a lot of, you know, rural communities, but lots of rivers and waterways and towns that weren't that far. You know, they would be along rivers and wouldn't be that high above the water level. So there was a lot of places that got really messed up by flooding, and a lot of it was in Clackamas County. Lord. First above 70 degree day, and the boaters just come out like chicken pox. I mean, you can see the river's right over here, so this would have all been underwater. I remember this hotel got really messed up by the flood. I mean, think about it. There was floodwaters. I mean, look, there's a parking garage under it. So the first level is just parking spaces. So the hotel's actually, you know, the first story is the second story, but the water still got up to it. So now I'm under the freeway. Not a great place to be if an earthquake happens, but right down over here, this is where me and my buddy Nick actually went kayaking last summer on the hottest day of the summer. Go check that video out, see our adventures. But yeah, that area would have been entirely underwater. Difficult. More like know if difficult's the right word. Dangerous, maybe. Apparently this is like this trail that goes along the river. Back trash. Now I'm down here. And yeah, you can imagine this was all entirely underwater. But yeah, I don't know what's down here. Never actually been down here before. But yeah, you can see the divot. So it's a route not too often traveled, but it has been traveled. You got rockiness. Walking down by the river, hanging out with these waterway types. Check out this huge pipe, this stretch of pipe. I swear I'm gonna get so pissed if I get like half a mile down here and there's some random sign saying, "This is no trespassing." Then why do you have a walkway leading right down to it? This must be that greenway path they were talking about. Yeah. I mean, you look at it, water's right down there. I would have been completely freaking submerged. When you think this pathway overlook spot is fairly level with McLaughlin Boulevard. McLaughlin Boulevard was at about water level. So if I was stuck to this path, I would be just, well, not even really breathing my last breath. I would just be suffocating. Hey, a bumblebee. Check it out, that's my first bumblebee sighting. And he's gone. I don't know how far this path goes. Looks like they're trying to grow some species. There's some research rigs, and it looks like the trail just kind of dies. This is cool. But yeah, trail just kind of ends. So that was kind of fun, because I've seen video of people paddling in, you know, canoes and kayaks and little, you know, motorboats, whatever they had, literally going down the streets of this part of town. So the water was at least, you know, a couple feet deep enough to where people didn't even want to like slosh through it. So you look up into the hills above town. You know, these places obviously were okay and evaded demolition, but then you look down here, and this was all. I mean, once you get over this lip of the highway, everything drops down again. So yeah, once the water was able to creep over the highway and over this edge and just dump down into here, there was no way that this community was not going to get drastically affected by that. So yeah, this is a lot of video footage. If you see of people just kind of going down the middle of town, it was right along here. I don't know where exactly. I think this is Main Street, which makes sense. It's like the main drag from town. But yeah, I mean, look at all the stuff up here. And I think this was all underwater. Walking the path above town, the part of town that managed to avoid the perils of the '96 flood. Because I mean, geez, look how far down the river is from here. Could you imagine if the floodwaters got just up to the level of this pathway? These buildings would be like 20 feet underwater. God, just the thought of that makes me quiver. To me, drowning is the worst possible death you can ever have. But as you go this way, you've got the two old mills. You got the Blue Heron Paper Mill in the foreground on the Oregon City side, and the West Lynn Paper Mill, which also just recently closed down. So they're both closed now. They obviously were both thoroughly flooded, and they both roll along the fringe of the Willamette River. Which, if you look past this cute darling of a tree here, past old red, white, and blue. You look off past the mill, there's at least part of the edge of Willamette Falls. And it was absolutely insane. Like, Willamette Falls is, you know, it's a Niagara Falls like waterfall. So you got water, and then it goes and then keeps flowing. And there's parts of the Willamette River that actually flow north, which is kind of a crazy anomaly, because Willamette Falls, that's north. Water should be flowing this direction. But the Willamette Falls falls this way and then goes this direction. And most pictures or video of Willamette Falls during the '96 flood, you can barely even tell it's a waterfall. It almost just looks like a rift where there's like some rocks knocking the water around. The whole waterfall was under water, like right down over there. So yeah, the paper mill and all this stuff down here is just totally at least under 5-6 feet of water, I would guess. I always get shaky on this thing. This is such an old bridge. And just like old and thin and rusty. But it gives you a pretty good view of Willamette Falls right off over here. Now you can see by literally looking at it, like, it's fairly deep. Or, you know, the falls, it drops at least, you know, 20-30 feet. You could barely even make out this waterfall. This part over here where the water's kind of, that's how the whole thing looked during the '96 flood. So it's just insane to think that that was barely visible. This all was in like 5 feet of water down here. This stretch of the highway was practically almost on a coastline, because you've got the highway, this little grassy hill, and then there's just water coming up to it. So, you know, historically, everybody wants to focus on what happened in Portland alone, which wasn't as affected, objectively, it wasn't as affected as places down here, because a lot more of this land is closer to the water, you know. Waterfront Park obviously got messed up, like places in downtown got messed up, but it was the worst, you know. Whenever the news stations wanted the best footage, they weren't walking around Portland. They were floating downstream on little boats going through downtown Oregon City down here. So this is kind of that slightly more forgotten element of history in terms of the flood of 1996. Thought I'd just take you on a little voyage, show you around. And with that said, you know the shtick. Like, subscribe, share, comment if you want to. I don't really care about that as much. But yeah, if you like my stuff, like it a little bit more. And until next time, guys, this has been Steve, the Amateur Historian.